All right, guys, we are back. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy CMB checking in. And guys, we are live. And I'm doing this live because I figured it was a lot easier to do than make a video, guys. Sometimes putting these videos together take a lot of time. And that's something that I don't have today. Some of you guys know I don't have any heat in my house right now. I came back from overseas and my heat was out. And I'm going to tell you guys this, it's been a horrible experience. And I want to thank God for space heaters. You take things like central heating and cooling for granted. And, when things go left, you really learn how to appreciate things like that. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Teofimo Lopez and some of the fallout, since the fight happened. You guys know the fight happened this past weekend. It took place at Madison Square Garden in New York. Teofimo Lopez put his WBO 140-pound title and the Ring Magazine title on the line versus a game Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson was coming up from 135, and this was his opportunity to become a four-division champion, and he did just that. He became a four-division champion, and he did it. He made it look easy. He made it absolutely look easy. He put on a masterclass performance, and even though I picked him to win, if you watch my prediction video, I picked Shakur Stevenson to win the fight by unanimous decision. But I thought going into that fight, it was a 50-50 fight. I even mentioned that because of Teofimo Lopez and what he has been able to do in the sport of boxing. To me, I seen him as a skilled fighter. So I was quite frankly surprised at, how easy Shakur made it look in the fight. Now the question is did Shakur Stevenson expose Teofimo Lopez as a horrible fighter? That's the question that I want to give my thoughts on that today. And before I do that, I want to read this post. It was from Shakur Stevenson and one of his verified social media. I guess this is Twitter. And this is what he had to say about Teofimo Lopez. He says here, he says, just rewatch my fight. Tio is a really good fighter, great boxing skills. I just made him look that way because of my skills, but other guys wouldn't make him look like that. My jab, my defense, my IQ, I'm just on another level, out of this world, all glory to God. So that's what Shakur Stevenson had to say about Teofimo Lopez. Now, a lot of people may look at that and say that's him bragging, but I think he's telling the absolute truth about Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez is a good fighter. Teofimo Lopez, he didn't get to where he was by being a horrible fighter, in my opinion. He was a unified champion at 135. He was the WBC franchise champion at 135. He came to 140. He defeated Josh Taylor, became the Ring Magazine champion, lineal champion, WBO champion. You guys know at 135 he defeated Vasily Lomachenko, one of the best guys that was in that division. I think he stopped Richard Comey. So he's a good fighter, man. I just think, that he was limited in his ability when it came to a fighter like Shakur Stevenson. We know he was a good boxer, but we see Shakur Stevenson as a better pure boxer. And we know that Teofimo Lopez often, has trouble with fighters who have great foot movement. We've seen that in the past. So he's a good fighter, but there's things I think that he could work on and he could improve to become a better fighter. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of fighters out there who are good at one thing, but they're not good at certain things. And, that's the thing that they need to work on. I think working on your weak points will make you a more well-rounded and better fighter. I do believe that. So I don't think Teofimo Lopez is a horrible fighter. I just think he got beat by the better boxer, in my opinion. Now, here's the thing. This is what Teofimo Lopez said about, his fight. And I want to read this. This is a quote from him. He said, I did poorly not listening to my team. That's on me. Take it on the chin. And in all honesty, guys, I gotta kind of disagree with that. I think a lot of this fell on his team. I think in his time of need, his team was not there. You guys seen, what was going on in that corner with his father. Some of the things he said here. Let me pull it up. I can't remember right off. Uh, some of the things that Teofimo's father said. He says, "You gotta hit him, bro. You're gonna hate yourself in the morning. What happened to your power?" These were the kind of things that he was hearing when he went back to his corner. Instead of getting strategic, advice and telling him what he should be doing, it seems to be more belittling of Teofimo Lopez. And I can only imagine how he felt in that time of need. He might have felt abandoned, but I will say this: he didn't throw his father under the bus. I'm sure, they have their butt heads, but he didn't want to throw his father under the bus. And that's what I took from this quote that he said about not listening to my team. And my thing is this: I'm not big on firing your family. Your family's your family. You guys are gonna have, your arguments. You guys are gonna have your disagreements. But I'm not big on that. But I would say in this particular situation, his father's not good for him as a trainer. I think there's things there that's lacking, and he probably needs a new trainer. I said this in another live. I think he needs a new trainer. I hate to say that, but listening to the corner, seeing how he's limited in certain things, something that a new trainer could help him with and make him a more well-rounded fighter. I just think he needs to bring someone else in. Even if he doesn't fire his father, bring someone else in to assist. Maybe he, doesn't want to fire his father. But we'll see about that. Now, I did hear him say that he's probably going to go to 147. And all honesty, I don't think it's a bad thing. I really don't think it's a bad thing if he goes to 147. I don't think that's going to help his case by going to 147. You're just going to deal with bigger guys there. I just think, he needs to learn certain things. He needs to learn how, to have better footwork, in my opinion. He needs another trainer. And that's my honest opinion on that. But as far as Teofimo Lopez being exposed, no, I don't think he was exposed. I just think, he was defeated by the better fighter, in my opinion. But anyway, just wanted to give my thoughts on that. We'll see what happens with Teofimo Lopez next. He took it on the chin. He didn't complain, and I like the fact that he, stopped doing that racist stuff. That's never going to get you anywhere, man. But anyway, you guys let me know what you think about Teofimo Lopez. Is he a horrible fighter in your opinion? Did Shakur Stevenson expose him? Do you think he needs a new trainer? What do you think about the instructions coming from his corner, his father? You guys let me know how you feel about it in the comments section. It's the CMB. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. And I'm out. Peace.